Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDO 44 coming at you with another video. Um, this is kind of interesting to me. Yesterday, I made a video. I think it was yesterday, or it might have been the day before, but I believe it was yesterday. I made a video just stating that that I was wondering what Kyrie was going to do in regards to in regards to him coming back to the state of New York or going to those in position to make the change necessary for him to get back to work. Try to see what he can do for himself. Maybe try to see what he can do for the movement itself, and maybe I was just throwing some ideas out there in my as I tend to. Just wondering out loud, basically, if he was actually trying to fight to get back on the court, or was he just kind of going to chill out and hope for the best, or just maybe wait it out and just let it be, and just sit the season. And I was thinking, I was like, maybe he should get with some people who are, like-minded in regards to the mandate, and try to take that to the streets, or take it to more so the state. What I didn't know was at the same time, pretty much the same time I was making that video, people were outside the Barclay Center chanting and standing for Kyrie in protest of the mandate itself. I had no idea this, and if you go back and watch that video, you'll see. I'm not going to mention anything about it because I found out about that today. So it's kind of weird how that whole situation came about, because it just kind of popped up in my head. I think pretty much at random, and I made a video about it while I was just sitting thinking. But to me, it's like Kyrie needs to find a way to get back on that court. He needs to, for himself, for his career, and all that other stuff. But also, in sitting down and letting this happen, it kind of defeats the purpose for standing for it in the first place. When you consider what's happening is he's being told he has to either take the vaccine or sit out. And that's essentially what he's protesting. The fact that others are being told they can't work. So it's like if you take this stand and then go back to your estate and just live your life waiting for something to happen without actually then going forward, essentially you're telling all the other people out there who stand for what it is you're standing for to go back home and not fight too. So it's like, if you're going to stand on this thing, go as far as you can take it so that you can give yourself the best opportunity to see the change that you're looking for. And lo and behold, the people, the people themselves took that idea and weren't waiting for anybody, and they were going to stand for him. And I think that was what your hope would see for Kyrie if you're on his side of what we're talking about. But it's more so important that he too be a part of it, not necessarily be outside protesting, but more so talking with who he needs to speak to, coordinating with some people who can do some things, and starting to get some dialogue going to figure out if there's some wiggle room, and if there is no wiggle room, and how can we get some more understanding of what it is that people need to do in order to get back to work, finding ways of contributing that way. Maybe there's some way to help those people who are not able get some extra something going. But the point is not to just sit back and just you know get back to work, or rather get back to your day to day without basketball. I just don't think there's any room for that. He has to be active and vocal in what it is that he's standing for. Not only as it pertains to just his ethics as a man and all that. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is making his time away from the league count, so that when he's away, it's understood that he's not just away from basketball because he secretly doesn't want to play. Because see, these narratives is what he's fighting against as a professional, and as a man, more so as a professional when he wants to get back on the court. He's more so fighting against these narratives that have now been created by circumstances that he's allowed, by his absence and and being quiet. But since he's addressed the public recently, and I don't think he has to again. That 25 minutes was enough. I think now it's about just making sure he continues to fight that good fight, and that's the thing. And for myself, in listening to me talk, you probably think that I am anti-vax too. If you haven't listened to any of my videos, no, I'm just a person who understands the position he's in, what I believe he should do to further the conversation that he's in. The position I'm in actually is more so about not being wrong about COVID. For anybody who wonders where I'm at personally, I just don't want to be wrong. I believe in everyone having their own personal choices, but I also believe in the understanding that we're dealing with something specific here. So we can't just play it like we would play anything else. That's how I look at it. I think ultimately I don't see a solution, but I don't believe that the solution that we can live with is the one that we have, because you have a large portion of people out of work, and a large portion of people who really just aren't necessarily not taking the vaccine because they have some desire to spread the virus, or some desire to look the other way in regards to it. Some people have other things involved in their circumstances for why they have concerns about taking it, and I just don't think that we're accounting for those people properly. I think we're kind of forcing them into a lane with people who are being defiant, and I think that that's understandable early on as you're trying to implement this, but you have to keep working and tweaking at it so that you're not leaving people being held accountable for things that they shouldn't be held accountable for as it pertains to being punished for not taking the vaccine. I think that there are different ways of also going about trying to educate a lot of people on how they can make the best choice for themselves. And when you remove that choice, you remove the optimism for taking it, and thus you create this environment of rebellion where otherwise maybe it wouldn't be as prevalent. You don't want to force things on people. You want to give them the illusion of choice in this case, and give it as much wiggle room with time as humanly possible. In other words, we ask that everyone get as educated as possible and meet the mandate by a certain time based on what it is that you have specifically to see. That's why I just don't think we're advanced enough for what it is I'm hopeful to see. Because what I'm hopeful to see is that things are more personalized for the people and the families and the circumstances for which they're in. We just don't have enough data for that at this time. We don't have enough know-how to do that. Because I look at a situation and say, okay, what does this person want to do? They don't want to take the vax. Why? Because they're afraid of needles? Okay, so we can figure out some type of way for them to get the vaccine in a certain amount of time later on so that they can warm up to getting their minds right for taking, like that kind of thing. Or this person doesn't want to take it because they don't have the information and they're just, not knowledgeable for why it needs to be done. Okay, well, we're going to help these people get the knowledge and get the understanding and then come around. Or something like that, to where, again, you're not just telling everybody who hasn't taken it, hey, you're in this column of the defiant, and because of it, you're punishing you. Because I think that's a disciplined way of doing things, but I don't think that's effective for making it so that the majority of people will have that injection in their body. See what I'm saying? It's about how you get to point B. I think the way we're going about it is just the wrong way. And I think without looking at numbers, obviously, without knowing what the math is, I think that if you don't force people to take something, you may actually have more overall compliance. That's what I'm coming to. That's the angle I come from. So, and look, man, I'm not gonna lie. Some people are just gonna make decisions based on their own understanding, and that's as far as they can think through. Like, they're not gonna make good decisions, man. And forcing them to make the decision that you feel is best for them, it doesn't do anything but make them want to rebel against you. That's it. That's literally it. And so because I understand that about human nature in general, I just understand that they're not going to get full compliance. They're not going to get the type of, they're not going to get what they want, basically, which is as many people to take it as possible, as soon as possible. So all you're going to get is a bunch of unhappy people, losing sight of what it is that we're actually dealing with, and focusing more so on the freedom aspect of it, and why I should rebel against doing so because you're forcing me to. You're bringing a aspect of the conversation to the forefront that doesn't even need to be there when you force people to do things. You know what I mean? So, And because I understand that there's a great deal of people out there who are just going to be natural contrarians, and who will try to lead others to be as well for the sake of seeing the world burn, as I like to say. Forcing people is only going to fuel their fire. You're only going to fuel them. You know, people would just honestly want to see as many people not make it as possible, and we know they exist. We cannot assume that everybody is as PC as our favorite corporations try to make themselves seem as if they are. So it is what it is, man. I'm hopeful that Kyrie Irving, just to bring it back to him, can get back to work without having to forego so much money. You know what I mean? That's where I'm coming from. His choice is the choice that he should make, the one that's best for him and his family. If I were in his position, I probably would have already taken the shot, just because of what's on the line for him, where he's at in his career, how much time I believe he has left on his legs and his body. I would have already done it and just gone that route. But what I wouldn't have done is had a bunch of people outside rooting for me, fighting for me, demanding that that I get back to work. You know what I mean? Saying that I'm someone that should be standing for. And that's ultimately what's happening there. Kyrie has a great deal of support right now. People who are adamant about not only him getting back to work, but I think more so importantly, what he's standing for, and themselves, you know, getting back to work in some cases, and more so in other cases, just like I said, wanting to be defiant. Some of those folks that I was referring to, I saw some of them as well. They were out there too, with their own ideas and agendas about this thing, and so that's why I would caution people who line up with them to know that you have people over there who they're not interested in some of the same things you are. And see, that's what it comes down to for the anti-vaccinated community. What I understand about that particular side of things is there's a lot of people over there for a lot of different reasons. As it pertains to the vaccine, probably the same, but probably less prevalent, because the majority of people are just terrified of this thing. That's what it is. And the majority of the people who are taking it are terrified of others giving it to their family members and friends and themselves, etc. So they're adamant about it as well. And some people just like picking sides. That's it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go over there because I like what color they're wearing, that kind of stuff. So as I realize the different variables of humans that are out there and the different choices that people make at absolute random sometimes, I just feel like the best way for our government to handle this is the illusion of choice. Truly, the illusion of choice. Just like they do with a lot of other stuff. We don't have a choice, but we think we do. That's the way you handle this. But I thought a lot of the stuff that we've handled in regards to this pandemic has taught us things. You know, they've tried things and just did the best they could. And then, you know, as they failed, I'm sure they gathered data in how to handle other things as things happen again going forward, whatever may. So, you know, I'm not trying to be too hard on those in power in that regard. I don't think any of this came with a manual, but, you know, when you're talking about human beings, you try a little tenderness. You know, that's what it really comes down to, man. Because otherwise, you're just going to have people using their voices against the cause for reasons that don't have nothing to do with the cause itself. So, my name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.